This video is made possible by the EA Creator Network and was captured on a work-in-progress build. What's going on, everybody? My name is C4, welcome back to the channel, and today we are continuing our Coach Archetype Breakdown series to give you guys the best build of every single coach option that you have when you create a coach in Madden 26 franchise mode. We've already broken down Offensive Guru and Defensive Genius. Go check those videos out if you already haven't. But this is the one that I am the most excited for. Someone that likes to go into a franchise with a bad team with the plan to completely rebuild and revive that program and lead them to a Super Bowl. I think, just off of face value alone, Development Wizard is going to be my favorite coach type in-game. And today we are going to build a meta build. We're going to try to figure out what are the best abilities to unlock and what is going to give you the best advantage at turning around a bad franchise into a Super Bowl contender. So the talent developer build is going to be interesting because when we did Offensive Guru build, it made a lot of sense that you're going to go and get a lot of offensive abilities with your head coach. Therefore, you could save some money on investing in your offensive coordinator and invest your points into defensive coordinator and trainer. When you were a defensive specialty coach, it made a lot of sense to invest heavily in an offensive coordinator to get some offensive perks, and you could save a little bit on your defensive coordinator. But when you were looking at a talent wizard, looking at the abilities, you kind of get a little bit of everything. Like, as you can see for these upcoming unlocks on our route to becoming a level 50 coach and opening up everything, you get scouting perks, you get coordinator perks, you get buffs for offensive and defensive players, not to the degree as you can look with all these different locked abilities. You're not going to get absolutely everything that an offensive guru gets. You're not going to get every perk that a defensive genius coach build gets, but you get a little bit of everything. So striking that balance may be a little bit more difficult than when you're in maybe the other two specialty of coaches. So let's find a meta. Let's find the best overall build. All right, just out of curiosity, I was like throwing this in the video. It took me 3 years, 3 straight undefeated seasons, 2 Super Bowls to reach level 50. So again, in case you're concerned that the level 50 cap will be achieved too early, I think the fact that there's mastery unlocks for your skill abilities on top of the fact that this is perfect conditions, it's probably going to take you 7, 8, 9, maybe even upwards of 10 seasons to get to level 50 organically. I wouldn't consider it an issue. I do quickly want to touch on Playsheets and how a talent wizard coach build differentiates from an offensive guru or a defensive genius. Because when you're an offensive guru, you only get access to offensive Playsheets. When you're a defensive genius, you only get access to the defensive Playsheets. But when you are a talent wizard, you get a pool of 6 of both, which, kind of makes sense. Now, you don't get the exact amount that you would get if you were a specialist of the offensive or defensive category, so you are limited a little bit in that regard as far as your head coach build is concerned. But the fact that I know you get a little bit of offense, you get a little bit of defense, maybe that would be the balance in helping you guys decide. If you've watched all 3 coach build videos, maybe Talent Wizard being able to get one of each could be a deciding factor for which archetype you want to choose. I've also said in the previous 2 videos that the trainer, DC, and OC all have worthy upgrades in each one of their trees. However, if you're trying to follow this video as a guide, the OCs and DCs are going to be different. Depending on where you're at in your rebuild, you might have a level 1 OC, which you're going to need to want to level them up alongside your coach as you go through the ranks. If you start a franchise you're a couple years in and your OC is level 30, you're going to have just different abilities that you're going to have unlocked. It's very variable to the franchise that you are playing in. So I necessarily can't give you the guide of like, well, you want to spend this X amount for your coach and then save X amount for your OC, X amount for your DC, and then your trainer. I will say from my experience, the trainer hasn't left the same way that if you have a really good defense, they'll get poached for a head coaching job, or a really good offense, they'll get poached for a head coaching job. So your trainer is always there. And I think if you are playing on default, there is a lot of value with your trainer because he gives you boosts in regards to the wear and tear, in regards to injuries, injury prevention, injury recovery. But there's going to be probably a lot of people that may, well, I would say a lot of people, because I think wear and tear is a great system, and I'm happy that it's making the jump from college football into the Madden world. But they do give you an option in settings to turn off wear and tear. So there is going to be a segment of franchise users that are just not a huge fan of wear and tear. They're going to turn that off. Therefore, there won't be as much value in some of these upgrades for the trainer. Or if you're getting off default injury sliders, and you may get less common for the injuries, there's going to be less value here in the trainer upgrade abilities. But I think if you're running default, there's a lot of value in trainer, and I wouldn't spend all my points. If I had an absolute war chest strictly in my coach, I'd show some love to the trainers, the OCs, and DCs. But you are here for the head coach build. Let's get into it. Obviously, as we go through this, I'm going to be showing you a level 50 endgame build, but these abilities get unlocked as you level up your coach. So if you're starting at level 1, you're going to obviously follow, hopefully, the tips that I show you in this video, but there is, you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to grind as you don't even get buddy system, for example, all the way until you are a level 50 coach. But I'm going to show you at least which skills I would prioritize, especially prioritize getting all the way down to tier 4. But there is one skill in particular as it relates to the talent wizard that I think it's worth doing early, even though you're going to replace it later on in your build. You have Scout Squad here that will be level 1 unlock. And what it does is if you get it down to tier number 4, it is going to give you 5 tier 2 scouts for your scouting department. By default, you are able to get 1 tier 3 scout, 1 tier 2 scout, and 3 tier 1 scouts. So being able to, especially from level 1, upgrade this to all tier 2 scouts, so you could have a 3 and then 4 tier 2 scouts. That's really, really important. And then eventually, once you get to level 33, and then once you're level 33, you're going to be able to unlock Scout's Honor, which will, on your way down to tier 4, will give you up to 5 tier 3 scouts available for your scouting team. So while technically if you're trying to min-max, you may just look at this overall and be like, well, why would I want to upgrade the tier 2 scouts when there's a tier 3 scout? Well, it's going to take you a minute, especially if you're starting at level 1 to get to level 33. And Scout Squad will do its job en route on that journey. But I do think once you get Scout's Honor, there's an argument to be made. It is one of the most powerful abilities in this talent wizard build. Now, just for this guide, using the available points from going strictly to level 50 with no upgrades, I have 300 points remaining. And I think with those 300 points, that's where I would just kind of now look at my offensive coordinator, my defensive coordinator, my trainer. Also to be considered because you have an option on the play sheets here for your head coach with an option for offensive and defensive. But that is not a case for the other 2 builds. I think it would go under heavy consideration for me personally. But again, this will come down to play style. This will come down to your given roster. I can't necessarily say what is going to be best for you, but I would consider saving some points and always showing a little TLC to the play sheets. So looking at the offensive tiers, the one we're going to start, I got Big Back. That was just what was unlocked when I started this sim process. And I think I'd probably, in hindsight, make the argument I wouldn't invest any of my points here. Now, if you just earn it by getting goals, and as you can see, we're already on Mastery 3, which if you don't know how the Mastery works, even though I've explained it in the previous other 2 coach builds, so you can go upgrades. Let's just go to like a silver one here. So for like aerial suppression, right? So if we get 3 sacks in a game 2 times, it will automatically, without having to spend stat points, unlock tier number 3 for this ability. And then if we suck and see the downgrade where we get no picks in a game for 2 times, like this one here in particular, you're probably going to fluctuate because there are going to be weeks, stretches that you go without interceptions. However, once you unlock Mastery, where you can see we're on Mastery 3, which means we've already achieved Mastery 1 and Mastery 2, you never can regress beyond that. So no matter how bad we play, the downgrade will never come into effect and take us below Mastery 2 right now on Big Back. And if we run for 150 yards in a game one more time, we will achieve Mastery 3 and we'll never, ever regress below the tier 3 here in Big Back. So that is some fun end game for your coach abilities in Madden 26. I like that approach. But again, for the abilities, Big Back, I think you could save some credits here if you are looking at just how to spend your credits because it's very situational. It has a lot of reliance on like getting buffs against hit stick situations, which don't always present itself, especially in comparison to the other 3 offense abilities that I think absolutely are worth getting down to tier number 4. We have Dr. Dots, which is going to give you increases to pass accuracy, as well as no pressure effects on your quarterback. Yep, that's pretty sick. We have Field General, which gives you +4 upgrades to throw on the run, throw under pressure, medium throw accuracy, and deep throw accuracy. Very valuable. And you have Trim Edges, which is going to be buffs to your offensive tackles against power and finesse moves. Now, I've kind of gotten this debate when we were going through the offensive guru build, where the wording is weird. Like, I'd much rather get an actual quantifiable number here where we know we're getting +4 through all these tiers versus this, where you're just kind of going off the wording from tier 1 and tier 2 of slightly increased versus tier 3 and tier 4, which is significantly increased. I don't know what the percentage is. I think we just trust that under the hood, the percentages are well worth the upgrade price for these categories, and that trimmed edges getting down to 4 is very much worth it. For defense, I maxed out all 4. The one I didn't go crazy on was aerial suppression. I think this one is, again, especially with that downgrade of being no picks in a game 2 times, like I go a lot of stretches without getting picks. But the first 2 tiers are very nice as it increases man and zone coverage on blitz plays. I don't necessarily think the value in tier 3 and tier 4 is that crazy, but when you look at the other defense abilities, we have Shreddables, which is going to give you increased success against double teams, quick block shed moves are more successful, power block shed moves are more successful, and a significant block shed success for all defensive linemen. That tier 4 is very valuable. Mono a Mono, which gives you some DB love, increased reaction to in-breaking routes and man coverage, out-breaking routes in man coverage, reduced chance of press losses, increased chances of press wins. I love it. Interior Havoc, which tier 3 and tier 4 in particular gives you a significant increase to your power and finesse move for defensive tackle, and for bookend buster, showing some love to the edge rushers, tier 3 and tier 4 in particular, giving you that significant increase in power and finesse move for your DNs. And, well, in this game, now the new terminology, your left and right edge rush. Now in player development, you could absolutely just max all of these out because you are going for a talent developer. So why not make sure you get all the way down to tier 4 for your D-line, O-line, quarterback, wide receiver, corner, linebacker, halfback, and safeties, which is going to give you a 20% training XP boost. But if you want to kind of ball within a budget here and save some points left over, I would make the argument you are getting the most value with D-line because you get your D tackles and edge rushers, your offensive line because that's going to be your guards, tackles, and centers, your quarterback because it's quarterback, your wide receiver and tight end because depending on what offense you run, that's going to be your X, your Y, your slot, your tight end, maybe your tight end too if you utilize a lot. There's just a lot of value there. And, I mean, the same could be said for corner and linebacker in particular. Running backs are the least valuable because it's just your running back and your fullback. A lot of teams don't run fullback anymore. But I would say if I had to prioritize, I would go with these 4 first, and then you could show love to corner. I mean, you also can make you know what? You can make the argument too, right? Your corner, you have your 2 outsides and your nickel. For linebacker, you have, regardless of scheme, you're getting multiple value there. And safety as well. You're free and strong safety, and we'll just leave the running back as is. But hey, if you're going for talent developer coach, why not max all these out? For personnel, we're going to max out head of class, which down in tier 4 is going to give your coaching staff a 3 times coach XP earn rate. Very valuable. Buddy systems like the last unlock, and I get there's value in it. I would imagine, knowing how Madden has worked over the years, that getting down to tier 4 would probably make it very difficult, even if you have the number 1 offense or number 1 defense for your coordinator to get poached. Just based off how the skill tree worked last year, and like you'd get like the unlock boost to like trade packages and almost made your trade automatic. It was very overpowered. So I think there's definitely value here, but this would be something that I would kind of, there's no progression for it, right? So it'd be something that I would wait on until I had a situation arise where you feel like you're going to lose a coordinator in the offseason. Maybe that would be time to invest in it, but I do think it's situational. Plus, you don't unlock it to level 50. So it is pretty end game. Not to just kind of be lazy about it, but for scouting, I maxed out all 4 tiers here. This is where you're going to do your work. We have on corner czar, down to tier 5, a 5% general scouting buff for corners. You have a 10% reduction on 2-letter range unlock for getting that information while you are scouting a player. You have edge focus, which is going to be a 5% scouting buff for defensive ends. You have Fit Finder, which is going to be a 20% reduction on finding a player's archetype, which is always good information to have. You have Linebacker, which is going to give you a 5% general buff on linebackers. You have Running Backs, which is going to give you the 5% buff on running back scouting. You have Receivers, 5% buff. Safeties, 5% buff. Scout Squad, as I kind of broke down, you're going to get this one right at the beginning of your coaching journey. Appreciate those tier 2 scouts while you have it. It's going to feel real nice because once you get to level 33, you're going to get those tier 3 scouts and it is going to be game over. You also have buffs here, Shield Finder to offensive tackles, 5%. You have a talent evaluator, which is going to give you a 10% reduction on talents range unlock, which is great information to have. And then we also have Where's the Beef, a 5% general scouting buff on defensive tackles. All these advantages are going to help you gain as much knowledge as humanly possible for that given class of players, and you're going to have, again, while you're leveling this up, and you unlock these abilities, it could absolutely be based off of what you need. Like if I know for an absolute fact that I need corners, well, absolutely prioritize getting that more information for your corners versus say, you know, you're the Philadelphia Eagles, for an example. I'm probably not going to be hurting for a tackle anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? You can absolutely view these upgrades as somewhat situationally, but I do think if we're viewing this as an end game, once you hit level 50, kind of how can you prioritize your coach build and what should it look like? I think it's absolutely worth dominating your scouting upgrades and abilities so that when it comes to draft time, it's easy mode. So there you go, fellas. That is a breakdown of when all is said and done, you reach level 50 for a talent wizard coach in Madden 26. I think this would be the build I would highly recommend. So now that I've done videos breaking down all 3 coach builds in Madden 26, let me know in the comment section below, which one are you choosing? Which one is your favorite? If I was power ranking the 3, I mean, they all have pros and cons. I would say number 3, coming in last, would be just offensive guru because I don't think I need as much help on the offensive side of the ball. I would put defensive genius at number 2 because I'm not as good at defense as I am offense, and I think the buffs that I would get from that defensive genius would help my gameplay on the sticks a little bit more. But I would go number 1, this talent wizard coach, because obviously I like to go in and like to rebuild teams from the ground up, so that means player development and scouting is going to be integral to that. I like the fact that you get a little bit of both. With this coach, you get offense and defensive play sheets, which you don't get both when you are either an offense or defensive specialist. You get 4, I mean, you know, it would be nice to have more, but, you know, it's all about striking a balance with these coach builds. You do still, though, get some upgrades on the offense. You get some upgrades on the defense, and you can bring home the bacon with player development and the scouting. I think it's just the most well-rounded, and I think the well-roundedness is why it's going to be my preference for Madden 26 when we do our main channel franchise mode with, we're doing the Vegas Raiders, baby. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. That'll do it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. As always, your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoyed. Leave a comment in the comment section below. I want to hear which one of these coach builds you guys are going to be choosing. We got a lot of Madden 26 content dropping from here on out on top of our college football 26 content. So again, just to do the cheap, cheesy YouTuber thing. If it is your first time stopping by, plenty of content coming. If you enjoy, you like what you see, only a lot more coming your way. But that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace. I love ya. Have a good one.